What's up, Access Church? Welcome to my garage. You're just in time for a Bible study we're about to have. So, hit pause on the video, go grab a pen, maybe some paper, get your Bible, grab some coffee, and we're going to be in Psalm 121. Okay, so a little bit of context for this. The chapter before this one is titled, Deliver Me, O Lord. So not super positive, not super happy. This guy's in a kind of a disparaged spot, maybe emotionally, and needing some stuff from God. He's not super stoked. And here we go in chapter 121, verse 1. I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? So, I've heard this particular verse in a bunch of songs. In verse 2, it says, my help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And so what I've heard people do is kind of connect this idea of the hills somehow representing God and kind of pointing the author to, okay, my help comes from God, of course, right? I don't think that's necessarily what's happening here. There's a handful of stories in the Old Testament. You read through Deuteronomy, Numbers, in the Kings, and in Chronicles, and there's all these stories about these wicked kings or people who worship false gods and idols and stuff, setting up altars in high places or on top of the mountains or on top of the hills. And so it seems to be the theme in the Old Testament that a lot of idol worship and worldly things happen on the top of these hills. And then there's also a bunch of stories where robbers and thieves are in the hills. And so they're representative of danger and a threat, as well as idol worship and worldly stuff and all kinds of debauchery and all the stuff that was going on up there. So I think in verse 1 what's happening is the writer is saying, hey, I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? And when he's saying that, he's looking to the spot that most people are looking to also. Most of the people groups at this time they weren't Hebrews, right? They weren't part of the children of Israel, so they were pagans, and they worshipped all these false gods and stuff. So the writer's looking at what most of the world is looking to get their help, or their rest, or their peace, or whatever it is that they're looking for up there. And so right away, when I read this, I think to myself, okay, so I feel connected to this, but why? This guy is looking for help. What kind of help am I looking for? Like, what kind of help do I need? So I'm trying to connect myself to the story in that way, right? So, a question to ask yourself when reading through this is, what do you need help with? What are, especially right now, we have this crazy flu virus thing outside, and people are scared to get within a few feet of each other, and stores are closing, and jobs are closing. It's crazy. So in a time like this, what kind of help do you need? What kind of help do you need overcoming, or just something to get through? Like, what is it that you're looking for? And then ask yourself where you normally look for that help. So the writer here is in the same conundrum that you and I will be in if we think, okay, here's all the things that I need help with. Where am I looking for the help for those things? And so a lot of times what we will do is the same thing as the author did here, is we'll kind of look at what everybody else is doing, or what the news says we should be doing, or the latest self-help book says that we should be doing. I worked in the construction industry. I'm still in it, but I was in the field for a long time, and a lot of the guys that I worked with, and they needed some help, if you know what I mean. But for them, where they went to look for their help was alcohol and drugs and hooking up with random people, and that's where they look for whatever it is they need help for, And so as Christians, we don't do that. In the same way that the author looks kind of at the world is looking to, and then says, now my help comes from the Lord. That's what we're supposed to do. And I think an interesting thing here is that most of the time, if we're really honest with ourselves, the things that we really need help with, we don't necessarily want help with. We want an escape from. So like if you need help being a better parent. A lot of times we don't really want help to be a better parent. We just want it to be easier to be a better parent. And I think we do that with a lot of different things in life. And it's really important. This author's also saying, I think it's safe to assume that him saying my help comes from God isn't him saying that God is my ticket out of this thing. But this guy, this particular author, fought wars and had to trust God to deliver his army because they were tiny, and the other army was huge. And so when this guy's talking about help, there's a sense of responsibility to it also. So as we have all these things that we need help with, these things that we're caught up with, that we don't know how to overcome or get through or whatever, it's really important to be honest with yourself. Figure out if you're looking for an escape from that thing or you're actually looking for help for that. And then if you are looking for an escape from it, it's as easy as saying, I don't want to be a sissy. I want help to get through whatever this is. So I'm going to look for help instead of just looking for an escape. And then the next thing is, where do we normally look for that escape or look for that help? So for some of us, are on social media like 6 hours a day. And that's for the birds in the hills, man. That's not the kind of help that we need, right? Some of us, substance abuse, whatever it is, pills or drugs or alcohol or who knows. And so wherever you're at, wherever you're looking for an escape or looking for help, we have to be careful to be able to tell whether or not it's something up in the hills that's not good for us, or if it's actually God, where we get our help from. I love that. That reminds me, any of these stories where it kind of turns back to God always reminds me of the gospel. Because God's attitude toward us, in the gospel, God's attitude toward us is awesome. It's way, way better than I was taught as a kid. I was taught that we get to choose to accept Jesus to be our personal Lord and Savior and Lord of our life. And that's good. I'm glad that I chose that. But way before I chose that, way before I accepted Jesus, he already accepted me. So same thing with you guys. Way, way before you guys accepted Jesus and decided to allow him to be the Lord of your life, he was already the Lord of your life. And from the day you were born, he was saying, hey, I accept you first. And so this author is looking for help, right? He decides it's not in the hills, he's going to find it in the Lord. And so we do that also. We have to avoid looking to what everybody else looks for and look to God for the things that we need help with. And we have to be ready to receive help with it. Like if God's going to help you defeat an enemy army, you're still going to have to fight. He's just going to help you win, right? So it's not an escape. We want to be honest and say, God, I need help with whatever these things are, and I'm going to find it in you, and I'm ready to do it. Let's do it. And so in the same way that before we accepted Jesus, and he accepted us, when we go to him and finally say, God, I'm ready to get help for this thing. I'm ready to get through whatever this is. Please help me. Way, way long ago, he was saying, hey guys, let me help you. Look over here. So remember, these two verses are telling us, don't look for help in these external things, worldly things, CNN, Fox, drugs, alcohol, Facebook, overeating, whatever it is, wherever you try to escape normally. Don't go find your help there. God for a long time has been saying, hey, come here. Let me help you with that. So over the course of the next week or so, let's be praying. Let's be seeking God. Let's be trusting God and asking him to help us with those things. And we're going to be ready to do whatever it is we have to do with God's help to get through it. And so one other thing I want to, just a cool thing maybe you guys can do with your kids. I've been going through how to pray with my kids. And so every night, I've been telling them to thank God for one thing and ask him for help with one thing. So it's been really cool and extremely funny, the things that they thank God for and ask for help in. So maybe try that with your kids. I think it'll be really cool. And I'll see you guys in a few days and we'll do another one of these. See you later.